Dear guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, we are very happy to welcome the Prime Minister of Denmark here in Estonia in Tapa Base. The Prime Minister of Estonia, Kallas, and the Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette will deliver statements and take few questions. The press conference is held in English with simultaneous translation into Estonian. First, Prime Minister Kallas, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mette. Dear journalists, thank you to coming to Estonia. Estonia and Denmark are very close allies and also friends. Denmark has had a long-term commitment to Estonian and Baltic defense, and we are very grateful for that. Danish forces are here in Tapa today as part of NATO's enhanced forward presence. Your planes help to protect our skies in the Baltic air policing mission, and your ships secure our seas. Your government's additional reinforcements to our region, a Navy frigate, F-16 fighter jets, and a possible additional deployment of troops, sends a strong message of support. I welcome you here during a very challenging time. The Kremlin is continuing its brutal war against sovereign democratic country in the heart of Europe. The perspective is dark. A lot of innocent people have lost their lives already. And it seems many more lives will be lost as Kremlin continues to target civilians and civilian infrastructure. Putin cannot win this war. He cannot even think he has won this war. That is why we need to keep concentrating on a policy of smart containment. First, we all need to increase our efforts to support the people of Ukraine in their self-defense against the aggressor. Defensive military aid must be our top priority. This means weapons and material, including anti-tank missiles and longer-range air defense assets to Ukrainians so that they can better protect their skies. Estonia has already provided Ukraine with over 220 million euros worth of assistance. We were one of the first to give Ukraine weapons for their self-defense already back in December. Second, times have changed since the February 24th, and so have we. Living at the front line of democracies demands adapting to this new reality. We must show to the aggressor that we are ready to defend ourselves here. And if need be, we are also ready to fight. That is why we need to strengthen our defense, collectively and individually. 2% of GDP on defense spending must be the floor, not the ceiling. Last week, in addition to decisions already taken in January, my government decided to increase Estonians' defense spending to up to 2.5% of GDP. I also commend Denmark for its recent decisions to bolster its defense spending. With friends like you, we feel safe. Yesterday, 18 years ago, Estonia joined NATO. Never alone again was the motto that we were living back then, and we are also living right now. NATO is the most successful defensive alliance. It has never been attacked. To keep it so, it is this new reality that NATO must also change. And this leads me to my third point. NATO will defend every inch of its territory. We need a credible defense on land, in air, and at sea. The current situation in our region is not sufficient in this regard. We must close the gap. We would need combat-ready divisions supported by enablers to provide air defense, long-range fires, and a command element. We must move from air policing to air defense. We need more NATO ships patrolling the Baltic Sea. In order to have peace, we have to prepare for war. Deterrence and defense are better and also cheaper than the war. And fourth, we need to continue to isolate the aggressor and dry up Russia's war machine. We know that oil and gas is at the heart of this machine. European Union has already announced plans to cut Russian gas imports by 2/3 by the end of this year and end its energy dependence on Russian hydrocarbons by 2030. But we can and should go further. I have also suggested to set up a special third-party account to prevent revenues from going to financing the war, but rather going into reparations of Ukraine. Russia will have to rebuild what he has destroyed. And finally, I would once again like to thank you, dear Mette, for your visit and also for the Danish troops present here. Estonia's security is also European security. It is also Denmark's security. Our excellent cooperation will continue in Europe, in NATO, and I hope to welcome you here again. Thank you.
Thank you. Prime Minister Frederiksen, please.
Thank you so much. I'm very pleased to be here today next to my colleague and friend. So thank you very much, Kaja. As you all know, our two countries share a very special history. And today we again stand very united, shoulder to shoulder with Estonia troops and other good allies. This is actually my second trip to Tapa. I was visiting here back in 2020, and I'm still impressed by this base and its people. It is very important for me that the Estonian Prime Minister and I have been able to show our support to the Danish soldiers here today. We are speaking and talking, but they are actually working for our common security, democracy, and our freedom. We have had a nice meeting today as well, and of course what we have discussed the most is the terrible situation in Ukraine. I totally agree with you, Kaja, that we have to support the Ukrainians as much as possible, directly with weapons. Estonia have done that, and so has Denmark. And we will continue to donate to Ukraine. We have decided to support financially with humanitarian aid, and we are welcoming refugees in Estonia and in Denmark from the war. It is extremely important that we keep the pressure on Putin now. We have together decided sanctions, important sanctions within the European Union and other allies. We will continue to do so. I think it's quite obvious that Putin have been mistaken about all the Ukrainians and what they want to do to protect themselves. And secondly, about the Western part of the world. I think Putin hoped to see a weakened NATO, but what he sees now is the opposite. I think he was hoping to see a weakened European Union, but what he is facing now is actually the opposite, a stronger Europe and a stronger European Union. And therefore it is so important that we work closely together and that we stand united. We also feel a very specific responsibility in Denmark for your country and this region in Europe. We have been helping and we have been working very close together for 30 years now, and we have already decided to do even more, and therefore it's also important for me that we are 5 political parties from the Danish Parliament here today to show that we are united, all countries in NATO and in the European Union, but we are also united in Denmark and in the Parliament, also in our support for Estonia. And it is very important, and we have been discussing this in NATO and within the European Union, that especially on the eastern flank, that we need to do more, and that we are able to protect ourselves. And therefore, I am very proud of the Danish soldiers being here today, and it is very good with our own eyes to see the work that they are doing, not only for Denmark and not only for Estonia, but actually for the entire NATO and the entire European Union. So once again, thank you so much for welcoming all of us here today.
Thank you. We are not at your disposal for questions. Please state your name and media organization you are representing and to whom the question is addressed to. Please use microphone, and I think we already have first one ready.
Yes, hello, Veronika Uibo from Estonian National Broadcast. There have been talks that Denmark is sending more 800 soldiers to Baltics. So is it just a thought? Is it a plan? And how does the work in progress go?
Yeah, we were both of us attending a very important meeting in NATO last week. We have agreed among the allies that we need to build a stronger eastern flank. As you already know, we are very well connected to Estonia and Latvia and Lithuania, and we are already here. But yesterday we decided to make sure that we can send 800 soldiers next to what we are already doing in this region. And we are expecting that the NATO want us to be present here with around 800 extra soldiers. So it's not only an idea.
Thank you. Let's take the next one.
Hello, my name is Rasmus Butcher from Danish Broadcasting Corporation. A question for you. Last night I was in Tallinn, and the people I met in the streets, they were happy that the Danish soldiers are here, but I won't say they feel safe because we're here. Actually, they were doubting that it would really make a big difference if there will be Russian aggression towards Estonia, even if 800 more Danish soldiers will be deployed to here. So my question is specifically, what difference does the Danish soldiers make here, and is the Danish contribution enough, even if we're talking 1,000 Danish soldiers? And you may answer that as well. Thanks.
Thank you. The basic article of NATO is the Article 5, which says that attack on one is attack on all. This is the basis of everything. So no NATO country has ever been attacked, and we are NATO. This is one. Of course, the other side is that we have to build a credible deterrence to our aggressive neighbor, and that means that we have more troops, more capabilities present here. So every additional soldier makes this deterrence more visible and makes this deterrence also more usable for defense. What we are talking in NATO right now is that we have had this deterrence posture, but considering the aggressive behavior of Russia, then we have to boost our defense so that we move to the defense posture. What it means is that we have combat-ready forces so that the cooperation works between the troops, what they practice here, and they are ready to fight back immediately. So even if Russian side might have over or majority in the quantity, then we have state-of-the-art technology, we have good cooperation, and we have all the NATO countries backing us up. So this is first that we are able to fight back if necessary, but the main issue is still that the deterrence is boosted so that our aggressive neighbor would not even think about this.
It's okay, I totally agree with my colleague.
Okay.
It's not very often that we are able to say that, actually.
It's so good.
In politics.
So good,
yeah,
right?
it feels quite good.
Thank you. So we have another question. It's a follow-up question.
Estonian Broadcasting again. Question to Denmark's Prime Minister. How does Denmark look at Finland's wish to unite with NATO?
First of all, I would like to say that that is a question for Finland to decide, also to other countries. But of course, if or when Finland wants to apply for membership, we would support it very strongly.
I think we have time for last question, please.
Martin Juhl, Politiken, a question for you, Kaja Kallas. Here in Estonia, there is a large group of Russian-speaking people. How many are Russian-minded? I don't know if you can say something about that, and how you as a Prime Minister has handled that situation, and how the Estonian people has handled that situation.
Thank you. Very good question, but very hard to answer in a very short answer. So first of all, our Russian minority, we have around 340,000 Russian-speaking Estonians, but our minority, Russian minority, is not homogeneous. It's not a homogeneous group. So we have people who are living in eastern part of Estonia, and we did a study or survey regarding their attitudes towards the situation. First of all, their willingness to defend Estonia has increased because nobody wants the war in their home. And second, when we asked the question, with whom do you feel more emotionally connected, whether it's Estonia or Russia, then they answered Estonia. Vast majority answered Estonia. So I see that in this situation we could also, find or work on our common identity here. Of course, we have had conflicts in the past, and the war in Ukraine is stirring up everything. So if there is 9th of May coming, what the Russian-speaking minority celebrates as the day for victory, but for Estonian side, it is the atrocity started for Estonian people since the 10th of May. That's why we can't celebrate this as the Freedom or Victory Day, and we try to avoid the conflicts there. But the majority of the Russian-speaking Estonians here, they are not, you couldn't say that they are in favor of Putin and what he's doing. I think very many of them were also shocked when Putin decided to attack Ukraine and do all the atrocities that he's really doing there. So and especially regarding the Russian minority in the eastern part, they also see the life on the Russian side. So they understand that life is so much better here, and there is no willingness to, join Russia in any way. So yeah, it's not a homogeneous group. Of course, we have different views amongst them as well.
Thank you. Unfortunately, this is all the time we have. Thank you, Prime Ministers. The press conference is over.